Okay, so Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna-prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin-niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyamadi Pashyatade Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadiyasya yathoanmayaditaratat Charteshvabhignyaswarat Tene Brahma Hridayadikavaye Muhyanti Yatsurayah Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayam Yatra Trisargo Mrisha धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकम् सत्यं परं धीमहि हरि ओम् सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। So, Hare Krishna. Welcome to the fourth class of the Veda Vriksha Vivaranam course. Today we are going to cover three branches of Vedic scriptures, that is Puranas, Itihasas and Kavya. Okay, so the notes are shared in the group. You can simultaneously refer to the notes. First we'll cover the Puranas, then we'll cover the Itihas, and then at the end, the Kavya. So up until now, we have looked into the Vedangas, the Upavedas, and the Vedas themselves. And now we'll look into first into the Puranas. So actually, there is the reason why the message was put to join early today is that there is a lot of to be covered in the Puranas. The 10 topics which are there, Sarga, Visarga, Sanam, Poshanam, Uti, Sarga, Visarga, Sanam, Poshanam, Utiya, Manuntarani, Ishanugura, Nirodha Mukti, Ashraya. So we are going to cover all the 10 topics. How much detail we will be able to go, that is not sure because how much time we have, it depends on that. But many things we are going to cover, and like in this 10 topics, many concepts are there. Okay, there's actually one. So actually, we are compiling one notes under Maharaj's guidance, Puranas notes, and so the notes. So some points which are there in the notes which are shared. So some points are from there only, and Krishna willing, in few years will publish it as a book. Maharaj has that plan. So there is a good research which is being done on Puranas. That is specifically what is Puranas, which we will be looking today, the superiority of Puranas, manifestation of Puranas, types of Puranas, and all like that. And after that, the 10 topics which are there in the Puranas, that has been covered with respect to Bhagavatam. Okay, so let's see how much we can cover today. So primary focus today will be the Puranas. Itihas also will just briefly touch because Itihas is like as it will, when we come to the topic, we'll discuss. It is very similar to Puranas. Okay? There's hardly any difference between them. And then the Kavya Shastra. The Kavya Shastra also actually there is a lot of things like Alankar Rostam, if anyone knows. It's a book by Kavi Karanapura. So study is going on. So there are many points from there also, but it is very technical. And to understand that, actually one has to know Sanskrit. Okay, to actually able to relate to it. But even the theory itself is very It's not difficult, but there are many categories, subcategories, and many nuances are there. Okay, so if someone is interested, then it is good. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult to follow. Okay, Vedangas, Upavedas are still okay, but Kavya is like, it's a linguistic, it's a, what do we say now? It's a language study. So it may not be so appealing. So, but still we'll look into some things which are important because many things are there discussed. And it is very essential to have the understanding of Kavya Shastra to understand Bhagavatam. Because Bhagavatam is what Srila Vyasadeva has written is, it's like a Kavya Shastra only. Okay, many, if in English, figure of speech, which are there, okay, ornaments of sound, ornaments of meaning, many things, many nuances, many concepts he uses. And to be able to really appreciate that, it is very important to have the understanding of Kavya Shastra. So actually, we are missing. We find Srila Prabhupada, when he translated in English, he has also given it in a poetic way only. Okay, but English language has its own limitations. And you can't cover the entire meaning of the like the exact meaning is not there. There's a quotation. There's a phrase. Much is lost in translation because the Sanskrit language, and particularly in Bhagavatam, okay, so I mean, this is not respect to Kavya, but in general, because we are discussing on Puranas. So this with respect, it is in the context of Bhagavatam only. That there is only not one single meaning. There are multiple meanings which are there. Okay, and that is why the first verse which is there, Janmadhyasya Yathanmayadav Parashatyash. Srila Vishwanathan Chakravarti Thakur has given 5 meanings in his commentary. Okay, and all the acharyas were given an elaborated commentary in the first verse itself. I think so. There is a total. I mean, I don't want to speculate, but I don't exactly remember because whether it is 60, 100, or 200. Like, I mean, it is more than 60 pages of commentaries is there on the first verse itself in Sanskrit. Okay, if you see all the commentaries which are there, like 11, 12 commentaries which Srila Prabhupada referred to. So the first verse itself only, and Chakravarti Thakur only has given 5 levels of meaning. Okay, he has given the general meaning. He has given it with respect to Krishna Leela, with respect to Madhuri Leela. So many meanings can come. You can't transfer all of that into English. It is not possible. And to be able to appreciate that, so we are so illiterate that we cannot even understand the depth which is there. So it's very interesting. So someone actually to relish Bhagavatam. It is not only to teach Bhagavatam or to study or understand, to analyze Bhagavatam. To relish Bhagavatam only, we should, if someone is inclined, or he should study Kavya Shastra. Okay, then he can actually truly understand, he can appreciate the greatness, he can relish the rasa, which is there in Bhagavatam. And similarly for Ramayana also. Even Ramayana is a Kavya Shastra. Okay, I mean, it's a Itihas, but it is the first Adi Kavya, which is there. So it is very important. And the concepts which are there, they are very useful. It's very closely related to the Sanskrit Vyakaran, to the Nyaya philosophy, to Karma Mimamsa. Okay, how it is related, that is beyond the scope of today's discussion, but they have many similarities. So specifically coming back to Puranas. So Puranas are a class of literature which was written by Srila Vyasadeva, compiled by Vyasadeva, which contains the teachings of the 4 Vedas in a story form. So due to Srila Vyasadeva's kindness and sympathy towards the fallen souls, he supplemented the Vedas with the Puranas, which can easily explain the Vedic truths intended for different types of men. This para is there in the notes. Finally, you can understand it in this way. At the end, we'll cover it in great detail. Shruti, Smriti, and Nyaya. Okay. So these 3 things are known as Prasthana Traya. So Shruti means, usually people say it as Shruti means Vedas, Smriti means the Puranas, and Nyaya, I don't know how many of you must have heard, but Nyaya doesn't mean the Nyaya philosophy, Nyaya means the Dhamma Sutra. Okay. So that we'll see at the end, because we should first know the different branches, and then at the end we will cover the correct bifurcation, which is a differentiation, which is a. But Shruti means it tells us what to do. Okay, just what to do. That is mentioned. Smriti you can understand as it tells us how to do. Okay, so And the Nyaya, it tells us why to do. So, because in the Vedas, there are only injunctions. In the Brahmana, Aranyaka, Upanishads, there are only injunctions. In Upanishads, you will find some stories, but there are only injunctions are there. They don't go into much detail. Now, how to do that practically is mentioned in the Puranas. How? By stories. Stories of all Mahan, Acharyas, Mahabhagatas, kings, so many different personalities. So it is the history of their life by which we can actually understand how to implement those principles. Okay. And it is not only the kings. There are many, all the four Varna, Ashram, everything, every case is covered in the Puranas. In Bhagavatam itself only, we find so many kings, story of kings, of exalted Matajis, of a boy, of a Brahmana, of a Kshatriya, of a Vaishya, of a Shudra. So different stories which are there. Okay. So it tells us, because from the Shruti we understand what to do. Okay. But how to do exactly is we understand it from the Puranas. When we see, when we study, when we hear the life stories, the biographies of Mahan Vaishnava Acharyas, then we understand that. And the Nyaya, it tells us why to do. The reason, the logic behind that. The Brahma Sutras explain that. Okay. So Nyaya, in a sense, it is used in the other way. It is not that Nyaya philosophy proper, but it is you can understand it as the Darshana Shastra actually, more broader than Nyaya, Vaisheshika and all of that. But the Vedant is the correct explanation, the most perfect explanation. You find it in the Vedant, and especially in the Vaishnava Vedanta. And in that, especially, and the highest understanding is with respect to the Gaudiya Vedanta. That is our Brahma Murga Gaudiya Sampradaya. Okay. It is not that the Vaishnava Vedanta there's some problem, but when it comes to rasa and some technicalities which is there, then then there are problems with respect to the other sampradayas which are there. And of course, other Vedanta is fully problematic. It is from the base on it is problematic. The other philosophies which are there, they also, it is they can't explain the truth, the complete reality. So these three things are there. Okay. So Srila Vyasa, because he knew that people, generally, even in the modern context, we see that we don't like to hear injunctions. We like when we hear some story and like that. So then we find it more appealing. Okay. So even now, the speaker, motivational speaker, or all this kind of mundane speakers over there, they also when they give their talk, so they exemplify this with with many examples. Why is it topmost? Because it explains the reality in the most top case. Actually, this thing will in the Darshana class we will cover that. Okay, next Saturday we'll cover that because there is the class on Darshan. So we'll go through all the six systems of philosophy. We come to Vedanta and Advaita Vedanta and Vaishnava Vedanta, and then we'll see that. But it's a very technical thing actually. It's a very simple answer. But if I give that and you don't know the details, then there's a possibility that you may have offenses for the Vaishnava, other Vaishnava Sampradayas. When we say that they can't explain the reality, in truth, it's not that the original Acharyas, they didn't know it, but it was for a purpose that they only manifested that particular thing. Okay. And but that has to be understood by when you do the rigorous study of all the six systems of philosophies. Okay. But in essence, you can understand that the rasa part which is there, no Acharya has explained that. It's the Achintya Bhedabhed Tattva. The Achintya, if you don't take that into consideration, you have a problem. You cannot explain the relationship between as in the first class only. I mean, Achintya actually, this is also covered in the first class. That the three realities which are there, Jiva, Prakriti, Brahman, the interrelation of that is what constitutes the philosophy. And that is best explaining the Gaudiya Vaishnava. Okay. No other, that is in other Sampradaya, you will find the best explanation, which is so that is the reason. It's a simple reason. Okay. If you study, I mean, you have to actually study. Okay, it is not just a 2-3 liner answer, but you have to actually study. If you study Govinda Rashtra, you will understand. to know that, of course, you have to do the prerequisite study, but you take the Govinda Bhashya, the Madhva Bhashya, the Sri Bhashya, and you compare that. You will see the difference yourself. Govinda Bhashya is told by Lord Govinda himself. Okay. Of course, for Madhva Bhashya also, Srila Vyasadeva, I mean, he was ordered only uh, on the order of the Lord only he wrote. It is not that it is problem. It is for the purpose he wrote it. Because Lord is in different forms. It is not the Madhuri form. It is the topmost form is not the only form. Madhuri form is the topmost form. But there is Aishwarya Bhav is also there. And for proper preparation, because jivas are the atmas are infinite. Okay. Different atmas they have different inclinations. So for to cater to each one of them, the Lord he had the four Vaishnava Sampradayas. Okay, as the example is given, that in the Kali Yuga, this it is like a well, it's a dark well, and there are four ropes, and by holding any four ropes, one can be liberated. And the four ropes are the four Sampradayas, Vaishnava Sampradayas. And that's why Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Sarvati Thakur installed the duties of all the four Vaishnava Sampradaya Acharyas in the Chaitanya Mat in Mayapur, if you know. So that is there, and in Navadi Dham Mahatmaya also we see that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu specifically ordered them, all the four of them, to go and do this. And he told that I will take two important principles from each one of you. And all four Vaishnava Acharyas, they participated. So we'll see it in the Darshana class. So that is the reason. Okay? To explain rasa, to actually explain the nature of moksha. What is the Sarupa? That actually is given is that is the peculiarity. Amadhya ras, the Vipralanda bhava. That you won't find it anywhere else. Amadhya bhava also you won't find. I mean, of course, in the Bhargava and Rudra Sampradaya it is there, but the Vipralanda Madhurya bhava, Madhurya rasa, Shringar rasa, which is there, that is unheard of. That's why Mahaprabhu he gave the topmost philosophy. That is the supreme. That there is nothing beyond it. So, is that does that answer the question?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, uh, even the speakers in the modern context, they they attach stories because by stories, it is easy to communicate the ideas, and that's what Srila Vyasadeva did. So it's not a modern thing. Even the Rishi Munis they knew this, and that's why he gave the Puranas and Itihasas. Okay, and they are the Panchavedi because um, some people. Okay, so we will see that. So you can see the verse which is there from the Chandogya Upanishad. Chaturtha Itihasa Purana Panchama Vedanam. So these two are considered as the fifth Veda. And all of this, all the Vaishnava, all these scriptures, they are the breathings of the Lord. Now, that is the second verse, which you can go through it. And even in Bhagavatam also, first kind of chapter 20th verse, you can find the verse. Prabhyaju Samartha Vakya Vedas Chattaro Udrutaha Itihas Puranam Cha Panchama Veda Uchyate. Itihas Puranam Cha Panchama Veda Uchyate. So that is very, very clear. And the purpose of Puranas is they explain the meaning. Because in Mahabharata also, there is this verse that Itihas Puranam Bhinam Vedam Samu Prabhumyat. Samu Prabhumyat. One should clarify the meaning of the Vedas by the Itihas and Puranas. And to actually exactly study the Tattva Sandarbha. So if anyone is familiar with the Shat Sandarbhas, so how Srila Jiva Goswami, in a very, very systematic way also. So one can also study the Shat Sandarbhas to understand that how Gaudiya Vaishnava Vedanta is the topmost philosophy. Okay. We'll see that on the last day. We'll see that why are Shruti giving higher priorities. There's no higher priority in that. There is no priority in nothing like that. As you can see it here. The Vedas, Puranas, they explain the meaning of Shruti. It is that is people say so. That's what I was coming to. I'm coming to that topic because people they consider Smriti as no, it is something not to be considered. Especially these Partha Brahmanas, not the Partha Brahmanas, the Mayavadis. Otherwise, they consider it because it doesn't support this philosophy. Upanishads, it supports their philosophy because they say so. Or the reason is, this modern thing that, they have this, their understanding is a totally nonsensical understanding that there was a Vedic period and a Puranic period, the Rig period, they have this. By the carbon dating, they say, they see this, that the different scriptures were written at different times. And by that, they classify. So the scripture which first came, that is the senior most, but there is no such thing. All the Vedas, all the scriptures, they simultaneously emanate, not simultaneously, but they all came from Lord Brahma. Lord Narayan gave it to Brahma and he gave it to his sons, and that's how it got propagated. And it is there in the Bhagavatam. And it is clearly mentioned. It is a breeze of the Lord. This is that the first breeze has highest, is more important than the, it's not like that. Of course, there's a difference between Shruti and Smriti. Shruti is, in the first phase, it is covered. The Krama never changes. Smriti, it changes. But in every same, but in every kalpa, the wordings are different. That is there, and but both things are given. And specifically, that is the reason, if you read Govinda Bhashya, the works of Bhagavad Bhushan, Siddhant Ratnama, or any such work, you will see that. So, whenever any Jiva Goswami in Sandarbhas, so they bring a point and they quote verses. They quote verses from Shruti and from Smriti also. Of course, Shruti, that is the Smriti Shastra, it's a whole gamut of scriptures. It is not only Purana, but even the works of Manu Samhita and like that, they are also part of Smriti only. Okay, that which is, and that differentiation is there. Shruti is that which is heard and Smriti is that which is spoken. So that difference is, that is also okay. That's a correct definition. As a beginner definition, it's a good, but it doesn't completely explains the concept. Okay, so what was I talking about? So yes, in these Sandarbhas, so Srila Jiva Goswami very methodologically is developing his argument. And in Tattva Sandarbha, he is first determining the epistemology. Okay, as in our course also, we first determined what are the Pramanas and the highest Pramana. So we determined Shabda Pramana and then we came to Vedas. So in a similar fashion, I mean not in a similar fashion, but in a much more sophisticated and much more technical way, Srila Jiva Goswami is bringing the Pramanas, and he comes to Shabda Pramana, then he comes to Vedas, and he says that there's a difficulty in Vedas, but Vedas are not available, as we discussed. 4% are only available. Okay, and it is very difficult to understand. People cannot understand it. That's why we come to Puranas. Okay, now in Puranas also he is gradually bringing that how Bhagavatam is the supreme Purana. So that verse is also here in the notes also you can say. Okay, so there is just another verse that all the Puranas. Okay, so first cover this. So in Puranas total there are 4 lakh verses are there. Okay, that verse is also there. Somewhere you will find it. The distribution is good. So we'll come to that. But actually, on the Brahma Loka, what Brahma spoke, there are 1 billion verses. 100 crore verses are there. But that was condensed, and what is necessary for our this Bharatvash, that much knowledge was given. So not all knowledge is going to everyone. As we have discussed, Yogyata and Shamata, that has to be seen. So it is not that what we have is complete. Mahabharata, what we have is 1 lakh verses. But Shilvasdev, he wrote Mahabharata with 6 lakh verses. And that is there on the heavenly planet. So that is, the differentiation is there. Even Ramayana, so first of all, I'm just covering now, but now actually today it is sort of mixed also. It's not that we are first discussing proper Puranas only, but some points of, like as the points are coming, I'm just saying this or else I will forget it. Okay, so for Ramayana also, Lord Brahma first composed the Ramayana in his mind, and that was also 1 billion verses. That also, I think so, such a Sandarbha it is given. Actually, you can find the verse. It is most probably it is given in the Tattva Sandarbha, but it is from a verse only. So, and that too, we understand that Lord Brahma, he in his mind, he composed 100 billion, 1 billion verses. Okay, I mean, you understand the complexity of it. How we, when we, so generally when one has to speak, he writes the points. Some people can keep the points in his mind. But how many points can you keep? 1 point, 2 point, 10, 15, 20, 100, 200, and almost 200 points. Okay. I mean, in your mind, it must be already there, but you compose and you keep 200 points. How many points you can? Lord Brahma, in his mind, he composed Ramayana, which are Sanskrit verses. Okay. And as we had seen in the Chandra Shastra, it is so difficult to compose a verse in Sanskrit. A meter has to be considered. There has to be small, then lagu, so that rule has to be followed. With respect to all the rules, and there's not all verses have direct meaning. Some have Lakshana meaning also. Vyangya meaning also. We'll see in the Kavya Shastra, in the Kavya part. So all of that he did, and he kept it in his mind. In his mind, he composed that. Then, of course, he ordered Valmiki, and then he wrote Ramayana. He had the 24,000 verses. That is only, you don't have like not everything is there. And similarly for Mahabharata, Srila Vyasa also in 3 years he had composed Mahabharata in his mind. Okay, and then of course as we know the story, he wanted someone to write in the written form, and he had requested Lord Ganesha, and that story that you won't stop, but he says. I won't stop. But then Vyasadeva says that, but you have to write after you understand. So purposely Vyasadeva in between he gives some difficult verses. Then that thing is there. Actually, it's in the Sanskrit of Mahabharata, Puranas, Mahabharata, Ramayana is easy Sanskrit, but some verses are very difficult. Mahabharata, it's a totally different meaning. If we do the literal translation, we are way off the actual meaning, which is that's why we have to refer to the commentaries. Okay. So we are digressing a lot today, but actually it is all mixed from you. It's not proper digression. So the Puranas originally were in the 1 billion verses. Then Srila Vyasa composed it, he summarized it into 400,000 verses. So you can understand. Nowadays we talk about at least in the computer science, we talk about encrypt this compression. Okay, so you can actually calculate the percent. You can divide 400,000 by 1 billion, and you can see the percent of compression which is there. So in those 400,000 also, the gist is there of that 1 billion verses. Okay, and the distribution, exact distribution, we'll see in that verse is mentioned. So yes, so from the Eastern Mount, it was spoken, and that detail can be found. So Puranas and Itihasas were spoken from all the 4 mounts simultaneously. Okay, so that thing is there. Now, there is another verse which is there. You can read on the page number 2. That is there. That how the superiority of Puranas is explained. Okay, that how they explain the meaning of the verses, and that is why there is superiority of the Puranas in a sense, because the Vedas were afraid that their meaning may not be misunderstood. That's why the Puranas they came, and the 400,000 verses which I said, that is 400,000 verses, 100,000 verses of Itihas, and 25,000 verses of our Ramayana, 24,000 verses. So originally, as I said, there was only one Veda. So this Purana Itihas was also part of that one Purana. That was Yazid. Okay, this is also good again in the Tattva Sindhu. You can find that. I haven't mentioned that, but you can read the Tattva Sindhu. Bhanu Maharaj's commentary, Bhanu Maharaj's translation, you can easily find it on net. So there is a exact Anuched also. So I will tell the Anuched also. Exact Anuched. I think so. It is in the 14, 15 Anucheds that Anuched is there. Tattva Sandarbha Anuched 12. From 12 onwards, you can read it. Okay. So there you can find. So only inside there was only one Veda, Yajur Veda. Then it was divided into four Vedas. And the remaining of that Yajur Veda, okay, the last part of that was the Itihas, which was there. And which contained the 100 million verses. 1 million verses, which have the Puranas and Itihasas as well, which can be still found on the higher planetary systems. So, like as he composed, he contains the meaning into 524,000 verses, that is 400,000 verses of 18 Puranas, 125 of the two Itihas. Okay, that is there. So, the Puranas which are there, the meaning of the Purana, Skanda Purana, Gautama Purana. So it is not that they are the, authors of the Puranas. They only spoke the Purana. They only revealed the Puranas. Can we use Puranas to establish the superiority of Purana? Yes, definitely. They themselves are explaining it. Okay. Now there are many instances. As the verses are, you check out that verse. It is written, they explain the meaning of the Vedas. That is a superiority. And Smarta Brahman means smart. See, smart means it's a Tadvita related to Smriti. The Brahmanas who follow the Smriti Shastra, they are known as Smarta Brahman. So the Smriti Shastra, Dharma Shastra, the Kalpa Sutras, this Kalpa Sutra, the Dharma Shastra, which are there, they follow that. And they do Yajna and all of that. So that is different from Mayavad. Mayavad is, generally smart Brahmanas are Mayavad also. The philosophy is Mayavad. But, these are two separate terms. A smart Brahman can be a Mayavadi. A Mayavadi can be a smart Brahman. Smart Brahman only means he is following Smriti Shastra. He is into Yajna, he is into Karmakana. That's it. Okay, it's a give and take relation with the Devta. Okay, I am doing this Yajna, you give me that. That mentality is. So the 18 Puranas which are there, that they were removed to those different sages. 18 Puranas are again in the three forms: Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. That we also mentioned, I've attached the verse. In the Vatsya Purana, you can find it. And that the different, the list is also given. So Bhagavad Purana, Vishnu Purana, Tabu Purana, Narad Purana, Garud Purana, Varaha Purana. They are the Sattvic Puranas. The Vamana Purana, Narmada Purana, Dhamma, Bhavishya, Dhamma, Vaivata, Brahmanda, they are the Rajasi. And Matsya, Purna, Lingras, and Agni, Shiva, they are the Tamasic Purana. The reason why they are mentioned, why it is there, why we have Tamasic Purana. So, that can be just from the what they are promoting, Shakti or worship of Lord Shiva is promoted in the Tamasic Purana. Because it is written for a particular type of people. Okay, Jiva Goswami in Tattva Sandarbha writes that at some time, Tama is prominent. Okay, as I'm just reminded that in the 7th canto, during the Samudra Manthan Leela, in the 8th canto, so when the demigods, so when that peace is declared between them, so before that, when they go to Lord Vishnu, they go to meet Lord Vishnu that, we are tormented by this one God, what should we do? So therein, Lord Narayan is mentioned, that verse is there. But in different times, the different gunas are there. So Lord is impartial to that. Okay? It's not, he is only not demigods, he only looks after demigods. He looks after Rakshasas also. So in the time is for Tamas, but Tamu that is prominent. And Lord only motivates. He only sanctions it. Because without his sanction, what can function in this way? So during that time, for that time also Shastras are there. As I said, in Shastra, everything is correct. All types of cases are correct. So at that time we have this. However, in those Shastras also, a verse is there. Okay. That verse. I'm unable to find that verse. Skanda Purana is there. It is written. Shiva Shastrayati Tad Grahayam Vishnu Shastro Tayogiyat. One should accept those statements in scriptures glorifying Shiva which agree with the statements in the Vaishnava scriptures. So, I mean, it is for the sadhu, okay? Because not just true that Shastra that at it is written for different types of people. But it is also said that Veda Shankara Madhya Hari Saradagi was Madhashara says it. That at the beginning, at the end, at the middle, only Hari Saradagi was. The Lord is only glorified. Lord is only glorified. So how do we understand that? But the point is that even though they glorify Lord Shiva, but at the end, in Sri Purana and Shiva Purana also, in the Puranas themselves only, it is mentioned that Lord Vishnu is supreme. At the end, it is mentioned. So you can find that. That's what it is. Even in the that Ganesh Arti which is sung in the during the Ganesh Chaturthi, at the end, that line is there. I don't remember the line, but that exact line is there in the Ganesh Arti. Mahamantra is also there, and there is a line is also there. Tameva mata pita tameva danju satha tam. So that verse, that is actually for Lord Narayan. That verse is also there, that in Bhagavatam also it is mentioned. I think so. Not that one. But there's a Kayana Vacha Manasa Dhruvanma. This verse is also there in the 11th canto. You will find the same verses there. Tameva mata that is not there. That is not a Puranic verse. So the different Puranas, at the end they come to Vishnu, Lord Vishnu only. Okay. So we should understand that. Okay. That is why under Parampara, under Guru Shishya Parampara, from Guru only, we should hear these things. Only then we will understand. Otherwise, if someone, just picks a book and he reads, he will get divided. Okay, by reading Vedas and Puranas. So in Shiva Purana, Lord Shiva is glorified. Brahma Purana, Lord Brahma is glorified. So different people are understood like that. So that is there that there are many things are there. Okay. First of all, the word Shiva, it also, Shiv means auspicious. So it refers to Lord Vishnu. One. Secondly, many a times in the Brahma Sutras, we see that words has come in the first adhyaya only. So Brahma Sutras are divided into 4 adhyaya. And each adhyaya has got 4 padas. So and all of them, and then the padas are divided into adhikaranams by different acharyas. Okay. So that adhikaran is there. How do you understand that? So the reasoning which Srila Bhagavad Vidyabhushan in Purana Bhashya gives that, you can check it out. Okay. Mostly the first adhyaya it is given. But it refers to the Paramatma which is situated in the heart of Lord Shiva or Lord of Indra. Because Indra is also glorified as the other Param but it is the Lord who is sitting in the heart of Vishnu to whom it is referred. When we say Vignaharta to Lord Ganesha, to whom Narasimha which is sitting in his heart, to whom it is referred. And we know the concoction. I'm not saying Madhacharya, the Madha Sampradaya, that is the understanding. And even in the Bhashya, Sri Bhagavad Vidyabhushan is something. That has to be understood. You can read this our book, Siddhartha Ratnam. So Sripad Bhagavad Vidyabhushan, he has written many books, but there are 3 books. Bhashya, Pramana Ratnavali, and Siddhanta Ratnam. So Siddhanta Ratnam is the introduction to Govinda Bhashya, and Pramana Ratnavali is also there. So ideally, before reading Govinda Bhashya, we should read and it's a short book. Okay, Pramana Ratnavali, it's a very short book. I think so. 9 points are there. And so there are Nava Pramayas, which Srila Madhacharya has given. These 9 things are to be known. Pramana means objects to know. And Srila Bhagavad Vidyabhushan took that and gave that. And Sri Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he added one more and he changed one. Refined one. Okay, he added Rasa Bhakti as a 10th one. And he gave the Vasamula Tattva. He didn't write, but he gave the Vasamula Tattva, which is inside the Javadharma. During Javadharma, it is given. And Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Sarprachand Maharaj, was mentioning that Srila Prabhupada's purports are mostly based on the Dasamula Tattva. Okay. I don't know how much you are familiar with this Nava Prameya and that, but for further detail, you can actually, you have to read that, and then you will understand. So in Siddhanta Ratnam, there's one, so there are 8 parts are there. In one part, our Lord Narayan is the supreme, our Lord Vishnu, the superiority, the supremacy of Lord Vishnu is established. So wherein all these different cases are taken. So for further clarification, you can go and read that. And it is available on the net, you can read it. However, the reasons are that it refers to the Lord who is in his heart. Okay, understood? So that thing is there. This the Shiva stance also refers to the same stance on this as Antaryami of Lord Vishnu. So you're saying that even they mention Lord Shiva as a Antaryami of Lord Vishnu. Is that what you are trying to say?
Yes, Prabhuji.
That counter reasoning and all of that is there. But however, you know, you can of course reason. Anyone can reason, but I can reason that I am Antaryami. But first of all, there is no Antaryami in Lord Vishnu. There is no Swagata Bhed in Lord Vishnu. You understand Swagata Bhed? It's a term. There's no internal division. That's why we say there's no any differentiation in the body and the mind of Lord Vishnu. In the body and the soul of Lord Vishnu. You must have heard that point. You know, when the distinction between Lord Shiva or Lord Vishnu and Jiva is given, at this point is mentioned. That we have a body and soul separate. But in Vishnu, the difference is not there. So what Antaram is there of Lord Vishnu? I used to always wonder that why, I mean, okay, it's a point, but well, okay, fine, he has seen, but what is the significance? But then later I understood the significance. So it is very important. Otherwise, reasons come up. You know, Lord Shiva is the Antaryami in the heart. But there is no Antaryami in Lord Vishnu. His body, mind, soul is same. There is no Swagata hidden. So what? But in Shiva it is mentioned. In many places, Lord Shiva himself says that. Lord Vishnu has never said that. Okay, of course, and at times he says that, but it's only to glorify his devotee. Okay, he loves that. But there are many refutations are given. Of course, counter reasonings is there. They have their own poor reasonings, but it is well maintained. There is no doubt about it. Yes, you had a question?
Yes, Prabhuji. I just wanted to know that is there a particular place where I can read the refutations which are available between the Vaishnava stance and the Shaiva stance on the Supreme Personality of Godhead?
Your voice is not, I mean, I am unable to clearly hear. So can you
Hare
type
Krishna.
the
Hare
message?
Krishna.
No, so I think so there's some problem with my speaker. So I'm unable to properly decipher what you are trying to say. Can you hear? सुन रहा है क्या बोल रहे हो? So maybe in the message you can write. So meanwhile I will continue with the topic. Okay, or at the end we can cover. So you can write in the message. We'll see. At the end we can cover it. Okay. But that mentioning there is no doubt about it. You can read Mahabharata chapter 9. In the first chapter itself, Madhacharya has taken that point. So many places, Pandavida Bhushan has taken that point in Siddhanta Ratnam. In Govinda Bhashya also he has taken. In Brahma Ratnavali also that one point is there. So there are many contradictions. That is true. There is no doubt about it. And that's why they have deliberated their work so hard to prove the supremacy of Lord Vishnu. There is no many reasoning, contradicting, so many things, so much of discussion is there. But not all the points can be covered here, but because that is not the scope of this course. But in essence, you can understand that Lord Vishnu is the supreme personality of Godhead. There is no doubt about it. Lord Shiva also has mentioned that. And in terms of any type of reasoning which you see, in terms of how many verses they mention, even in that point you can understand them. It is well mentioned. Even in Samsik Puranas, the superiority of Lord Vishnu is very clearly given. There's no doubt about it. Shaivites, they have, they feel offended. And I mean, nowadays the problem is that in the olden times there used to be debate. Okay? Both the parties would sit and there would be a full-fledged debate. But once that one person loses, it is not that, he will do, he won't accept the point, or he will, like nowadays how, we there is revolt and all sort of things like that. But that is not how the reasoning was done in the olden times. Okay. So you can write your question in the chat box because I'm unable to hear your voice properly. There is some issue in mind. So what about Hari, Hara, Abhed? Yeah, that Abhed is also spoken of at places. The difference, the Abhed. that is there, in the sense that because it is a guna avatar of the Lord, and that's how Shiva Tattva is there, that is in between. Okay, if you see, but that you can leave that point for the time because it's difficult to understand. But still, that Abhay is given in with respect to the guna avatars. But the difference is still there. It is spoken of, at times it is spoken, because it refers to the Antaryami within the heart of Lord Shiva. But there is no proper shastric proof to actually, say, to actually have this point that, there is no difference between that. That is mentioned at different scriptures. It is true, there is no doubt about it. But the reason is also given. Yes? Hare Krishna. Yes?
Yes, Shruti. I just wanted some more spiritual references, if possible, on this particular aspect.
Your voice is not properly audible. Okay, and even that, that's one thing came in my mind. A Neelakantha, a Trinetra, they also actually we see they refer to Lord Vishnu, not Lord Shiva, in the ultimate sense. Sahaya, they also refer actually to Lord Vishnu. How that is given in reason, I cannot give all the reason here. But in Siddhant Ratnam, you can give. You can read the Siddhant Ratnam, no? That's what I'm saying. Siddhant Ratnam, third chapter. You can read. You'll find everything is given. Okay. Maybe when Sadashiva, that word is used in the Upanishads, that actually refers to this avara, to Vishnu only. And also in the Siddhant Ratnam, the third chapter, 22nd verse also, that thing is given that the Lord himself arranges himself as the Shiva's Antaryami. And he tells people who are not his devotee who have material desires to worship Lord Shiva. And he is their worship study. Okay. It is not that and to strengthen their this faith. Those who are not his devotees, not everyone is Vaishnava. To strengthen their faith, these what do you say? The statements are given that Lord Shiva is supreme and God is supreme. Okay. Shiva Gana. Shiva Gana. No, we will see that. There are 5 types of Shiva. No? We'll come to that. Okay. So I think so now we should return to the main topic, but we'll come to that. Shiva. That is also there. That's why today's class is very important. Many points are there. This point will also come in the Sarga part. And even with that verse, the last point which I mentioned, the point that Lord Rama, he worshipped Lord Shiva, and that's why he is supreme. But Lord Ramchandra, he had also worshipped the ocean god. So is that the ocean Lord is supreme? It's not like that. He did what just out of such a child to motivate these people. He did that. Okay. So Lord, all that happens, all that is there, it is by Lord Vishnu, because not everyone can be a Vaishnava. There are some people who are only devotees of Lord Shiva. And to propagate them, it is Vishnu only, he only does that. Okay, how we have, I'm not saying that this is equal, but as an example, only, don't think that I'm equating it with that. But in the Bhagavad and in the first canto, we see that when the description of Dwarkapuri is given. So when Krishna is returning back, so it is there. It is said that the prostitutes were also there in Dwarkapuri. So you may say that how can there be that prostitute and prostitution? How can be that in the abode of Lord Krishna himself? Because people of the same nature are there. If the government is not, they don't arrange, then they will go on cause basis. Okay, so people are of different kinds, and to facilitate that, it is there. That's why liquor is also there. Even Vaishnava is ruling, then it say he will have to do all this. Okay, it is not that out of great interest he will do, but the reason is because people are there, and if you don't allow them legally, then they do it illegally. They will go cause nuisance to, they will go public the women not higher class. But because some people are there and some women, they also have that propensity, so these facilities are given. So similarly, I mean, I'm not juxtaposing, by the juxtaposition, you will understand what I'm equating it with it. But the point is that people have different propensities, and that is why it is given. In the Agama part, we'll cover it. Actually, yes, in the Agama part, in Agama Tantra, in the next class, we'll see that. Why that Agamas are there. So, but doesn't it go against CC that all Jiva were? Hare Krishna, I think Lord Shiva is Krishna. Who said that Lord Shiva is supreme? Everyone, the Nitya Sarup is Krishna Das only. But at that particular time, people are in different position. You can't have everyone, right, instantly have become the Vaishnava. For that time, according to that, that thing is given. Who knows? But even we were Shiva Bhakta in some lifetime. Where is there? That is a new Sarup. You are confusing. You are getting confused between that. New Sarup is that. Other people are on different level. You can't have instantly even give Krishna consciousness. We can see the practical example also. Now also, isn't not everyone has taken to Krishna consciousness? When Lord Chaitanya also came, isn't that everyone took? Because you can do. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about the point that there is no potency. But it is forceful thing. That is not how the universe functions. Okay, so you are confusing with the moon service. Moon service Krishna and Nityadas. But Lord Vishnu does it. So returning to the main topic, okay, does that answer the question? Okay, you can, again, I am saying you refer the Siddhanta Ratnam, wherein you will understand the points. All the details cannot be spoken by. Okay, you go study Siddhanta Ratnam, 3rd chapter. Mostly it is the 3rd chapter only. Vishnu Tattva Nirnay, that is the topic. Coming to the Puranas. So different Puranas are given for different types of people. Those who spoke that Purana, they didn't create, but those who spoke to whom it was revealed, that was it is named after them. Okay? But it is explicitly mentioned in all the Puranas, as this verse is from Skanda Puran. Shiva Shastre Api Grahayam Vishnu Shastra Prayogi Yat. Clearly it is mentioned. You won't find any verse that the Vaishnava Puranas are to be understood in the way of how, in the way it conforms to the superiority of Lordship. It is not given. Okay? But in the Shiva, in the Tamasic Purana, this statement is given. So, it is not, that this nonsensical arguments as people give. It is by Shastra Praman. Go properly study Shastra Praman and then debate. Still, not everyone will understand. Because then, if everyone understands, then again, we are back to the same. How is that possible? People will still have their own opinion. People will still not understand. But from the actual perspective, we must know that it is given. Agacharya, he has given all this. So, now the superiority specifically of the Bhagavad Puran, that is also mentioned from the Matsya Puran, that verse is there. Yatradvikritya Gayatrim Varanayate Dharma Vistaraha Vrittasura Radhopetam Tad Bhagavatam Ishyate. So in the Bhagavatam, it is the last Puran. After everything was written, 18 Puranas were written, Mahabharata, everything was written, then Bhagavatam was written. Now you may ask the question that in the 18 Puranas, Bhagavad Purana is also there. So how can we say that after 18 Puranas were written, that Bhagavatam was written? So Srila Jiva Goswami answers it in his Tattva Sandarbha that Bhagavatam was also written, but it was written in a subtle form, not the point which the Bhagavatam which we have in the present form. That was not the Bhagavatam. She was never written one, but then Narad Muni came, that meeting conversation was there, and then he edited the part. So in the Tattva Sandarbha you can find that. Okay, everything is Any all the points which are there, it is all from the Shastra. You can go check out that. It is clearly written. Anuched 17, almost all it is the 18th Anuched, wherein this thing is given. So you should everyone should read the Chacha Sandarbha. Now, how much one understands is a different thing. There are prerequisite studies there. But at some point, when one is mature, Chacha Sandarbha should be read. Okay? Many things will get clear. So that is there. Uh, the Brahma Sutras are explained by Bhagavatam. In Srila Jiva Goswami, in the Paramatma Sandarbha, he is explaining Bhagavatam. He is taking the first verse of the Bhagavatam, Jamadhyasya Yata, and he is explaining the first two sutras, Jamadhyasya Yata, no, Athasa Brahma Jignasa, Jamadhyasya Yata, Shastra Yovidvat, and I think so, four I don't remember. He has explained that. Okay. And that's why we didn't add any commentary, because Bhagavatam is a natural commentary. It explains the Gayatri Mantra, and it is given. Again, you can go and read the our this Paramatma Sandarbha, and therein you can find it. And the whole Sandarbhas, the first three Sandarbhas, it is well explained. So it explains the meaning of Gayatri, it explains the meaning of Brahma Sutra. It is also the topmost Shastra. So everything is there in the Sandarbhas. So moving on to the next topic. The 18,000 verses are there even in Devi Bhagavad. It is one of the Upa Purana. We'll see what Upa Purana and Purana is there. Okay, therein we'll see the differentiation. So therein also 18,000 verses are there. So how do we differentiate between that? It is the story of Vritrasura. In that we don't find the story of Vritrasura. Okay, so Devi Bhagavad, and that is also known as Devi Bhagavad. So Bhagavatam is, even that is referred to as Bhagavatam. It can be referred to as Bhagavatam. But then Sri Jiva is mentioning that. Okay, so Tattva Sandarbha can be referred to 16 Anushad till 20th Anushad that will be there. Now we come to the content of. So any doubt on this part related to this part? No doubt? Can we continue? Okay. So the 10 topics. Sargo, yes. Okay, so first we'll see that. So in the Puranas, 10 topics are covered. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Utiya, Manvantarani, Ishanukata, Nirada Mukti, Ashraya. What it is, we'll see. And there are Puranas, there are Upa Puranas, and there are Upakhyanas. There are 18 major Puranas, 18 minor Puranas, and Upakhyanas we'll see. Purana also, this is again from Tattva Sandarbha only. Again, as an incident topic, Jiva Goswami have discussed it, but you can actually go check the Sansei and even translation you can see. So Puranas, they cover 10 topics. Any Purana which covers 10 topics is known as Purana. Any Purana which covers only 5 topics is known as Upa Purana. Now in Purana also, 10 topics are covered, but 5 topics are only prominent generally. Other 5 are not in much detail. But those Puranas which describe all the 10 topics in great detail, that is a Mahapurana. And that is why from Bhagavatam is a Mahapurana. Because all the 10 topics are given, it is explained in great detail. Other Puranas also they have 10 topics, but it is not in much detail. Similarly, in the Upa Purana also 5 topics are there. But some Puranas, they explain only one topic. Okay. So, and even the 5 topics, it is not that all the 5 topics are there. They, examples discuss 5 topics. And Alpa Purana is also there, which discusses only one topic, only developing on one topic specifically, and other 5 topics are only incidentally mentioned. Only one topic is prominent. Okay. So, that is good. And there's also a different opinion that the 5 characters should be ensured and is based on the distinction between major and minor Purana. but the volumes are small. So even on the length of the Purana, also that differentiation. Because naturally, if a Purana covers 10 topics, it is a long Purana. But Purana only covers that Shiva Puran is also referred to as Mahapuran. Till Bhagat is a Upa Puran. Shiva Puran is a Puran. They mentioned as a Mahapuran because it is on Lord Shiva. So people they call it as a Mahapuran. But I have not seen any reference. It can be called as a Mahapuran. Okay. But given that it covers all the 10 topics in great detail, many Puranas can be called Mahapuran. I have not heard of any other Puran as Mahapuran. Okay, like from a proper Vedic from a scripture. But even if a Puran is called Mahapuran, it's not that it is a supreme Puran. Only thing is it describes the 10 topics in great detail. Okay? It does not become the topmost Puran. Topmost Puran is Bhagavatam not because it is a Mahapuran, but because it is mentioned by the scriptures and it is talks about the highest reality. And it was written at the end. Mahapuran is just an attribute to it. It is not that it is a defining characteristic of it. Okay, it's not a sole collection. It is a secondary collection of that. These versions only are Upapuran. But people they don't even mention as a Mahapuran. Shiva Puran, I don't know, but I've heard that Mahapuran, but that is mainly by, because Shiva Bhaktas they call it as a Mahapuran. Devi Bhaktas they call Devi Bhagavatam as a Mahapuran. But we are not calling Bhagavatam as a Mahapuran because we are Krishna devotees, but because Shastra mentioned that. Okay. But then that is a way you can all yourself see. And you can go see in the Shastra, one can go and themselves check it. Okay. It is not that that which is being talked about has to be understood. You can go and check it out. One can go and read the 18 Puranas and you will see, you will understand what actual thing is there. Of course, Krishna's grace is required. Many people have read, but they still have not understood. The Shastra, no, it is not a normal book. You go, you read, understand, and you will do it. It is lot of mercy is required to have the highest understanding, have the Vaishnava understanding. That Krishna's mercy, his devotee's mercy, that is required. So it's by Swadhyaya, it cannot be understood. Mercy is required. Punya is also there, but by that we get devotee association. So one can refer to the Bhakti Rasamrita, everything is covered. So the 5 characteristics which are mentioned is the Sarva, Pratisarva, Vansha, Manvanta, and Vamshanu Charitam in the Upapurana. And the 10 topics are, as I mentioned them. The 10 topics, 2 lists are given in Bhagavatam. Shukadeva Goswami in the 2nd canto, Sarva Vasta Sanam Posam Utiya Manvantara Nishan Vadam Nirodha Mutyasha. And Sudha Goswami in the 10th chapter, Sarva Vasarva Vritti Raksha Hetu Vamsha, Vamshanu Charitam, Samsa, Abhashaya, and like that 10 topics are given. But they mean the same thing, okay? There is different terminology, but they mean the same thing. So Jiva Swami in the Tattva he has proved them, okay? In the last Anuchedas. So now we'll see the 10 topics in detail. So first we have the Sarva. Sarva means creation. Sarva and Visarva, the difference is Sarva is the creation by Vishnu, that is outside of the universe. Visarva is the creation of Lord Brahma within the universe. So after Lord Brahma, he is born from the lotus. He meditates in all the creation after that is the Visarga. But up until then, it is the Sarga or Karan Srishti. That is also mentioned that. From the 2nd canto, 3rd canto, 11th canto, the details will be found. And the flow is the Lord glances on Prakriti, okay, Pradhan, which is the subtlest portion. Then it comes into Prakriti. It is a still little less subtle. The Lord's glance consists of Kala Karma, Sabhava. Kala is time, Karma is the karma of the Jivas. And Sabhava is there, it is their impressions. Okay. I hope you understand the impressions, samskaras which are there. Okay, in that sense, the Sabhava is used. So this glance, it agitates the Prakriti, the Pradhan, and then the creation begins. Pradhan, Prakriti, Mula Tattva, Sutra Tattva, Ahankar Tattva, Ahankar in the Sattva, as Tamas, then the elements are formed. Then all the elements are so they all elements are there. Okay, they are informed in the first form. In the sense that, so you have a car and you have all the components, they are sitting idly. They are not merged. But the present the Lord glances and they merge. Okay, and then from Now, this is not mentioned in Bhagavatam, but in from Brahma Samhita we have that. From his pores, the eggs come out. They are the universes. And these elements which are the touch, and these are the layers of the universe. And so like that is mentioned. Okay, that division is there. So now the glance of the Lord. Okay, for further clarification, please go and read Brahma Samhita. We don't have much time to go into detail, but the glance of the Lord is Shambhu. Okay, the uh, if you know the cosmology, so there are 7 circles are there. Okay, around Vaikuntha. In the Padma Puran that was mentioned, the Goloka chart which was developed by ISKCON Salem, Google Chandra Prabhu, you can check out Goloka chart, ISKCON Salem, you can find that, wherein he has mentioned, he is explaining that. On the northeastern side, there is Ishna. This Ishna is Vishnu Tattva. But when he touches Prakriti, it converts into Shiva Tattva. And that is Shiva Tattva actually, proper Sada Shiva, which is mentioned. And that glance of the Lord is also Shambhu. That glance of the Lord is Shambhu. And that touches. Shambhu, he touches the Prakriti, his concept. And he transforms, he gives the jivas and that glance which is there. Okay, so in Brahma Samhita you can find that. Okay, it's very clearly mentioned. Okay, or even the Google Chandra Prabhu is from Salem. He has made that Brahma Samhita page also. Okay, in great detail, he is covering it each and every day. So you can go that. It is very easy to understand. I'm not covering it here. Okay, so Shambhu, he places the jiva in material nature under the care of Durga. And now the jiva is under this uh, under the care of Shiva and Parvati. So first we have the Pradhan, the most subtle form. Then we have Prakriti. Then we have the Mahatattva. Mahatattva. So Mahatattva is it is also known as flame. It is very it shines. It's very lustrous. In Satya is prominent. Because in Pradhan Prakriti, all 3 gunas are in equilibrium states. In Mahatattva, Satya is prominent. On the Sutra Tattva, the Rajas is prominent. Okay, and from here we have the Prana. Prana, what we call as Prana, but Prana is not the air. Maya Devi Shakti the Lord. No, see, understand that. It is the Shakti of the Lord. You are again confusing. Maya Devi is the shadow of the Chitta Shakti of the Lord. But Chitta Shakti of the Lord is Rama. I mean, specifically with respect to Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu's concept is Rama Devi. But Rama Devi is not Maya Devi. Her shadow is Maya Devi. And Maya Devi is the concept of Shiva. Okay, again, you read Brahma Samhita. Okay, so what are these 2 things simultaneously true that makes no sense? But that is the shadow form of the Chitta Shakti. Okay, are you understanding? I mean, this is basics. Maya Devi is the shadow form of the internal potency of the Lord. And that shadow is the concept of Lord Vishnu. Okay, understood? Clear? So we are Sutra Tattva. And the prana is here. What we have prana, it is a form of Sutra Tattva. It is not the air which we have at the end. Then the Ahankar. The Ahankar is in the Sattva Rajas Tamas. The Sattva is also known as Vaikarika. The Rajas is known as Saijasaka. And Tamas is also known as Tamas. From Sattva, Manas, the mind, and 10 Devtas are formed. From Rajas, 5 Jnanendriyas and 10 Indriyas are formed. And from Dravya, from the Tamasic, 5 10 Matras and Panchabhutas are formed. And from this the Ahankar in the Sattva, in the Rajasic, even the intelligence is formed. Okay, that is also mentioned. At this point, the Sankhya philosophy, it differs. They don't consider the Buddhi to be product of our Ahankar, Rajasic Ahankar. I mean, I'm just mentioning as a point. If you don't understand what is okay, that's the nuance point is a Sankhya philosophy. Okay, so the Buddhi And Pran originated from Ahankar in Rajas and different from the ones mentioned in the subsections of Mahatattva and Sutra Tattva. There's a Prana and the Buddhi which is originates from Ahankar in Rajas is different from Mahatattva. Because Mahatattva is also known as Buddhi Tattva, intellect. But that is different from the Buddhi Tattva. So when matras are formed, then we have the universe, and then inside the universe, Lord Narayan he fills it half with his our what do we say with his sweat. That ocean is there, Garbhodaka ocean is there, then Lord Brahma is born, and that thing continues. Okay, and we have already got that sound, ether, touch, air, form, fire, taste, water, smell, that's the subsequent creation which is there. Next we have is the Karya Srishti. That is the Karya Srishti is when the elements are formed, then they mix. Okay, but still creation was not taking place. The David was the Adi Devtas. Okay, the 10 big Devtas which I had mentioned, they came from the Sattva Ahamkar. They pray to the Lord and they offered the Purusha Sattva. The Purusha Sattva, I mean, now you can say there's the oldest Sattva, but there is no old in him because the Vedas are eternal. So they offered it to him. Om Sahasra Shirsh Purusha Sahasra Shat Sahasrapat Bhumi Vishwato Bhutvat Tishta Dashankulam. So that is the prayers. And then Lord he advances and he carries. He further does the creation. Okay, so I mean there are many details are there. I'm not covering that because we don't have so much of time. There are 10 topics to be covered and we are only still on the first topic. Okay. And this topic is part of the 3 topics which we have to cover today. So I'm very worried how much we will be able to cover today. There are many details are there, but I think so we'll have to skip them. I had planned to cover that. Actually, each of the classes were meant to be 3. My initial proposition was to have 3 to 4 hours of classes, but it will become very difficult for people to follow. Already, I think so. It has become very difficult to follow because many things you are hearing for the first time. So, okay, fine. We can't cover everything in the course, but you have a base. You can go cover it on your own self. Hard work is required. It's not easy to understand. I know, I mean, people are much more scholar, much more learning people are there, but it is only hard work is required. All this which is going on is, though it is flawlessly, it is being spoken, but there's a hard work, there's a lot of efforts, a lot of deliberation, conversation with Maharaj, and many things have got into it. And then now this thing is coming. Still, there's a lot of improvisation, many things have to be covered. So it's a difficult part, I know, I understand. But the point is, for those, you can skip the technical part. I mean, that is only for, because it is related to scriptures, it is, even to hear that is very auspicious. You can hear it, you don't understand, that is okay. Those who are interested to go into more detail, you can sequentially do that. Perhaps on the last day, we can maybe spend some time that how we can proceed. Okay, but basics have to be done. Okay, first it's a rigorous thing. So the Shiva, we have the first Shiva. There is the issue which I taught, which I talked about. It converts into after when he touches Maya Devi. Then we have the Shambhu, that is from the glance of the Mahavishnu. Then we have the Shambhu, which manifests from the Mahavishnu's eyebrow, the plenary portion of the first Shambhu. The reference for this is in the Adhyasam Brahma Samhita, 17th or 18th verse. It is good. From his right thigh, Shiva came from his, I'm not correct, from one of his thigh, Shambhu came, one of the thigh, Brahma came. So they are Brahma and Shiva. They are outside of the universe, and the Shambhu and Brahma, they give their potencies to the Brahmas and Shivas of all the universes. Next, we have the Shiva, who was born from, who is the Putra, who is the son of Lord Brahma, that is Shiva, and then Rudra, which is there. So these Rudra are 11 forms of Rudra, which is there, and they are Jiva forms. Qualified Jivas can occupy that 11 position. But all of the 4 forms, they are Shiva Tattva. It is a complete different Tattva. Okay? So these are 5 things. Sadashiv, Shambhu, Shiva, Rudra. That is it. Then you have Visakha. Lord Brahma was born from the ocean. He was confused what to do when he had two symbols. He did austerity. Okay, then he was understood. He got the version of the Lord. The golden prayers which were there, they were recited at that time. He got understood that, and then he begins his creation. His creation is known as uh, Nisarga. The current kalpa which is going on is the Shwet Varaha kalpa. Brahmaji has already, one Parag is already formed. So Brahmaji has 100 years. Okay. Each year has 12 months. Each month has 30 days. That is 30 tithis. 15 of Shukla Paksh, 15 of Gaura Paksh, Krishna Paksh. Shukla Paksh and Krishna Paksh. So each day has a, the daytime proper and the night. Okay, they are 12 hours. In the night time, there is no creation. Brahmaji sleeps and a lot of everything is destroyed. In the daytime, there is that is there. Uh, there are 14 Manvantaras. In each Manvantara, there are 71 Chaturyugas. In each Chaturyuga, there are 4 yugas: Satyayug, Tretayug, Dwapar Kalyug. Kalyug is 432, 432,000. Double of this 2x is Dwapar Yug, 864. 3 times of the Kalyug is the Tretayug, that is 1296, and the 4 times of Kalyug is the Satyayug, that is 1720. Some of this is 43 lakh 20,000. This is one Satyayug. If you multiply it by if you multiply by 71 times, you get something in the 30 crores. That is higher of the 17 side of one Manvanta. Now, in one Manvanta, there are 7. It is also said that Sahasra Yuga Paryantam. This verse is there in Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter. 100 Yuga cycles are there in one day of Lord Brahma. Now, if you take 7, as I said, 14 Manvantaras are there. In one Manvantar, 71 Chaturyugas are there. So if you multiply 71 by 14, you will get the answer of 994. So what are those 6? Those 6 are the 100 periods which are there between each of them. So there are 15. 15 Satyayug. 15 into, if you can do the maths right now, 15 into 17 lakh 20,000. When you do that, the answer which you get, which you divide by 43 lakh 20,000, you will get the answer as 6. That is the 6 Chaturyuga. You can do the maths yourself. Okay, I am also doing this. You will get the same answer. The answer which you get, you divide it by 43 lakh, 43 lakh, that is 43 lakh 20,000, 32,000, 20,000. You will get answer as 6. So it's 994 plus 6. That is there. So one Parag is already formed. 51st year, first month, first tithi, first day is there. That is known as Shweta Varaha Kalpa. 30 kalpas, the names are also mentioned. Shweta Varaha Kalpa, Nilohuta, Ramadev, Gathantara, Raurava, Prana, Bruhat Kalpa, Kandarpa, Sahodjata, Ishana, Dhyana, Saraswata, Udana, Garuda, Taumara, Narasimha, Samadhi, Agniya, Vishnuja, Saura, Soma, Kalpa, Bhavana, Sukuma, Vaikunta, Archisha, Valmikalpa, Vairajaka, Gauri Kalpa, Maheshwara, Paitru Kalpa. Each of the kalpas, they have a prominence also. It's not that all kalpas are same. Not only same, but some kalpas, that depends on if you read the relevant sections, you can understand that. So, any doubts up until now? I will still continue. Okay. So, then Lord Brahma arose, he did creation. Lord Brahma is also, there are 3 forms of Lord Brahma. Hiranyagarbha Lord Brahma, that is the sum total of all of jivas. Okay. And what exactly it is that you have to actually go and read Laghu Bhagavatamrita. In Laghu Bhagavatamrita, mostly in the first or the second, first canto, first chapter of the second chapter that is mentioned. Vairaja Brahman, that is the Brahman, the lotus which emanates from the Lord's nail, which contains all the planets. That is the material form. The Hiranyagarbha form is the efficient form. The Chaturmukha Brahma is the actual form, which is there. Okay. So, in the Laghu Bhagavatamrita, Rupa Goswami gives only 2 forms of Brahma, Hiranyagarbha Brahma and Vairaja Brahma, but not Chaturmukha Brahma. And it says that Vairaja Brahma only does the creation. Thus, he has merged the description of Chaturmukha Brahma with the Vairaja Brahma. Okay. Vairaja Brahma is a lotus. Chaturmukha Brahma is on top of that. And Hiranyagarbha is the sum total of the jivas. Okay. So, because Lord Brahma enjoys all the jivas. That is also, you can read the Brahma Samhita, also some parts are there in Laghu Bhagavatamrita also is there. Okay. So, some effort has to be taken. And I'm just seeing what things. So there are 10 types of creation which are there. Okay. So the 10 types of creation, the first thing First thing which Lord Brahma did was 5 types of ignorance to cover us. Then he created animals with 5 joints, innumerable trees, reptiles, cows and buffaloes, 8 types of demigods, 4 Kumaras, 11 Rudras, mental sons of Lord Brahma, 18 kind of Vedic knowledge. In that only we have the Vedas and all of that. Human beings and Swayam, and at the end, Swayam and his wife, Shatarupa. They are the first male and female born. The first couple of this creation. So, in the first creation, the first is the ignorance, 5 types of ignorance which are there. Tamas Moha, Mahamoha, Tamisra, and Andhatamisra. And they can also be found in the in 2 types, which Srila Prabhupada mentions in one of his purport, Avaran and Vikshepa. Okay, that is the ignorance of the self, that is the tamas. And Vikshepa is the byproducts of that. That is false identification of the body. And the next 3 types is the attachment to the body, because we are identified with the body. Anger when we have desires, when we are unable to cover that body. And the illusion of the fear of, or the fear of death. That is the Mahamaya, Tamishra, and the Tamishra. So that can be part of Asmita only, which is unavoidable for Vikshepa. These 5 ignorance are also mentioned in the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra also. That is mentioned. So many details are mentioned. Okay. With regards to the different species which is there, we'll see that in the, I think so, in the there's that verse from Padma Purana, 84 lakh species are there, and that is mentioned. Okay. We have like, yes, this is the verse. Jalajanam Savara Laksha Vimshati Pramaya Rodra Sankhaya Pakshinam Vasha Lakshanam Trimsha Lakshani Pashava Chatur Lakshani Manusha. So you can write this: 9 lakh forms of aquatics, 20 lakh forms of non-moving living entities, that is the trees and plants, 11 lakh forms of insects and reptiles, 10 lakh forms of birds, 30 lakh forms of animals, quadrupeds, and 4 lakh forms of human species. Okay, so that is the differentiation that is given. So Lord Brahma, he created all of that, and so now we are going to the next topic, Sarga, Visarga, and we have Sthan. Sthanam, you can say the refers to the Lord's excellence in situating the living entities at different places and maintaining them. So it is actually the cosmology of 14 planetary systems which are there. So according to different sthana, avastha, and karma of the body, of the particular living entity, the different planetary systems are there, and so Lord has, yes, situated according to the different propensity, and that description is given. So there are 14 planetary systems. Okay, and the middlemost is the Bhumandala. There is got 7 islands: Jambu Dvipa, Laksha Dvipa, Shamli Dvipa, Kusha Dvipa, Prauncha Dvipa. This this Shakava Dvipa and the Pushkara Dvipa. And there are 7 other oceans: ocean of salt water, sugarcane juice, liquor, ghee, milk, yogurt, water. So that separates them. The Jammu Dvipa, which is there in the middle east, it has got 9 divisions. Okay, and Ilavrata Varsha is in the center. That is there. So all these details are mentioned. You can check out that. We have the Bharata Varsha. In the Bharata Varsha, we have 9 divisions. The Bharata Khanda is there, and that is the planet Earth, which is in the gold form. Okay, there is a circle. It is in the circular form. Okay, that is mentioned. In different countries, continents of the Jambuji, different forms of the Lord are worshipped. So those details can be found from the 5th canto of Sri Bhagavata Purana. Next we have the planetary systems, Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka, and the 7 our hellish, this subterranean planets. Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Tarakala, Mahatara, Sutala, Patala. So the seven planetary this that is also mentioned. So this thing can be found. This is the sthanam. Poshanam, it refers to the mercy of the Lord. Okay, how the Lord bestows mercy upon his devotees by placing them on different places and how he's maintaining them, protecting them. And this can be understood from the prayers of the Lord, from the prayers. So all the prayers which are mentioned in the Bhagavatam, there in the Poshanam that can be found. Utiya is the urge for creation. It is a material desire. The creative impetus, as Srila Prabhupada translates it for the fifth canto. He is giving this translation. Utiya, it is the creative impetus which is there. So it refers to the desires which are there in the body. The desires are there, that's why we do action. And action, we have to face a reaction, and that's why we are stuck in the samsara. And herein comes the karma sharir, this still the this avara. Actually, someone had asked a question. I mean, on the first one, I actually forgot to mention the more references to karma sharir, which is there, that's far from the causal body, which is there. It is also known as vasana sharir or vritti sharir. And many times it is part of Sukshma Sharir because it is very subtle. And the yeah, but I think this is covered. We have we covered the Purana Sharir in the first class. We have covered it in the Mahavishnu's body. I think that portion is covered. So I'm not covering it again. So I think that is mostly covered. Here, the five questions are there. That also comes up. Bhandamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. Okay, that is also part of the Utiya. And the three Sharira, they are situated on different, the compositions of different Shariras. Solar Shari is Anna Shari, Annamaya, and Pranamaya. Sukshma is Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, and Karana Shari is Anandamaya. So that has to be carefully studied. We are not covering that because it's beyond the scope of today's discussion. Next, we have is the Manvantar, that is the different reign of the Manu, that is given and all the description in the 8th canto that can be found. Manvantarani, Ishanu Tatha, Pashaim of the Lord, all the different avtaras and everything that is mentioned in them. So the Bhagavatam itself, the details can be found. I'm just mentioning. We have the Swaram Rupa Krishna, then we have the Tadekatma Rupa. It is not different from the Krishna, but it appears due to different shape and activities. And we have the Avesha. Another way of classifying into Paravas and Vaibhav. Paravas is those where in they have all the 6 qualities. There is a Krishna, Ram, and Narasimha. But of course, Krishna is supreme in that. In the Bhagavatam, you can find the details. And the Vaibhava, Prabhava, and Avesha. Avesha are exalted jivas. Vaibhava and Prabhava is that Vaibhava, they have manifest less power compared to the Paravasa form, but they have more power compared to the Prabhava form. Prabhava form also, some remain for a longer period of time, some come only for a short period of time. So that is there. And the Swayam Rupa also, there are 2 types, Swayam Rupa from Prakash, and the Ras Leela, that Prakash form is there. And Prabhava Prakash and Vaibhava Prakash, that is also mentioned. Those things, they can find from the detail. Tadekatma Rupa also has 2 forms, Vilasa Rupa and Shamsha Rupa. The Vilas is only slightly different from the original form, but it's all different, for different pastimes. And this Vilasa also is of 2 forms, Prabhava Vilas and Vaibhava Vilas. So those things in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, those details can be found. Okay, and then from Vasudeva Sankarshan, so we have Krishna, Balram, from Balram the Adi Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva Sankarsha Pradyumna Aniruddha. From the Adi Chaturvyuha Sankarshan, we have the Lord Narayan. From that Lord Narayan, we have Vasudeva Sankarshan Pradyumna Aniruddha. And from that, we have the 24 forms of Lord Vishnu. That is mentioned. Okay, so those things can be found. Samshas are they manifest few uh, potencies compared to the Vilasa form. So that has to be seen. And again, there is also the six forms which are there. Okay, this our Leela Avatar, Manvantar Avatar, we have the Guna Avatar, like that six types of forms are there. That also can be studied. So that is with respect to within this world. Okay, Manvantar Avatar are there, many things are there. So Ishanavadha, Nirodha means the winding up. It is the annihilation process. So this creation which was mentioned in the Roman order is the annihilation. Okay, earth merges into water, water into air, into fire, fire into air, air into our sound into sky, and that is there. The pralaya are of four types. One is the Naimitika pralaya, which occurs during the night of Brahma. Prakriti pralaya, which occurs at the end of Lord Brahma's life. That description is also given in 12th canto 4, chapter 7 to 19th verse. Atyantika pralaya is when the jiva is liberated. That is there. And so the destruction of false ego. And Nitya pralaya is the ongoing pralaya. Constantly things are being destroyed. So that is the Nirodha. Mukti. That is the talks about in Nirodha, of course, we call it time also comes. The time, the potency of the time. So that also is actually part of the Nirodha. Mukti, actually, the definition it means to and our the general definition is to get rid of all sufferings. But that is an incomplete definition. The correct definition is that the second chapter, second canto, chapter 6, where it is Nirodha asyanu saranam atmana sa shakti mukti hitva anyatha rupam swarupena vyavastitihi. The attainment of a form as pure Atma or as an associate of the Lord after giving up gross and subtle material bodies. So that is there. And then there are 5 types of mukti that is mentioned: Salokya, Sashri, Samipya, Sarupya. I'm not going into that. I think so that is people are very familiar to that. Okay. So there are many nuances also there. The Brahma merging is different from the Sayuja Mukti. Sayuja Mukti you merge into the body of the Lord. The Brahman realization, the Mayavadi, and all of that which we hear, is merged into the effulgence, the Brahman effulgence, and then I will fall. That will be another tradition. Because it is the desire of it is the nature of the soul to do action. Okay? But you can't just sit idly. Yes. See, in Sayajamukti, what happens is, we given our individual, we merge those who aspire for that, they know everything. It is not that they consider in-person form. They consider the form, they know everything. Like, they are like us only. They know everything, but they want to merge into body of Lord Vishnu. So they merge into the Lord Vishnu. So they destroy their individuality. In Jnana Dharma, that is mentioned in the commentary of Vishwanathan Chakravarti Thakur on 11th canto, 14th chapter, 21st verse, 22nd verse, that can be found. So further details can be there. No, they don't serve Krishna. They destroy their individuality. That is mentioned. So, destroyed in the sense that it is not destroyed, but see, the river water passes into the ocean water. So, can you pinpoint that now this is the ocean water, this is the river water? No. But at the same time, it is not the river water is destroyed. But it merges into the ocean water. So, that is the Sayuja Mukti. But in the Brahman realization, they go visit the Brahman. But they say idly. Okay, there is no suffering, no doubt. But they do nothing. It is not really sitting idly. But the desire manifests and then they fall down. And then they do the thing gradually and that is it. That's why it is condemned. So what do we use? Okay, it is not like that. So in Sayajamukti, the soul is individually depends on the form of Dharma. And there is no question of there is no individuality only remaining. So that's why it is undesirable, actually. Okay, clear? And to attain the highest form of mukti, bhakti is the path, as we had said in the first one. So, Nirodha Mukti Ashraya. Ashraya is it refers to that which is you are confusing with how is it against the Sarupa of the Jiva? The Sarupa of the Jiva is to serve the Lord, but the Jiva has independence. Jiva wants to merge into the body of the Lord. So it is merging. Simple. You are understanding. You have to do this. That is your function. But you don't do it. Okay, no problem. You are giving up your individuality. And it's very clearly mentioned. I'm not mentioning this. 10th chapter, 10th canto, 14th verse, 32nd, you can check it now. You can very clearly find it. And even one of the verse actually, I will send that. Srila Prabhupada also mentioned it. To generally confuse it. Okay, wherever it is mentioned, you confuse silence about the Brahman, merging with the Brahman, that these two things are different. How is it different from the words? That Sarupa is there, but it's giving up his Sarupa only, no? This is your Sarupa, but you are giving up your Sarupa. So, I mean, that is unreasonable that people can do that. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? They are different things. You cannot contradict things. You have to do. I mean, I have to. Someone is doing engineering, so he has to study engineering. And he's giving up his engineering in between. Okay, give up. That is not necessary, but people do give up. Give up. Okay, fine. So are you understanding what I'm trying to say? And then we just tell me. How can you see? You are confusing. The jiva, there are 5 muktis are given, five this is given. Okay. And like Salokya, even in the Vrajabhava, they have the Salokya. Sarupya is also there. The Gopas have the same form. So it is, of course, we don't desire it. The bhavna is, even in the heaven's planet, I just want to serve you with the Lord. But in the Golok, in one of the 5 forms, they have this. Okay. So they have attained to it. Inside the body, they are there. It is mentioned in the Shastra, no? That is how it is given. And in Salokya, the reasoning is that they want to enjoy as a Lord. That's how they merge into it. Some jivas have the form. Okay. That is the general statement. And this is a specific statement. In that specific statement has to be that. I mean, if you study the Dharma Mimamsa, then you understand, how this Samadhi has to be done. There is no contradiction. Okay, something has to be done. Okay, so that takes some time. Okay, you read scriptures and you will actually understand. But something is to be done. There's no absolutely no contradiction. I mean, you think so that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur will contradict Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Okay, there's a question about that. Everything is mentioned in the Shastra. Those two are different things. There's no contradictory. You are thinking is that contradiction. That is the Nitya Swarup. This is the law. This side also muktis are there. Some want to give their individual. That is why this side has spiritual society. Okay. Are you understanding? Why Prabhupada says that spiritual society? That also refers to Brahma realization also. Because you are giving up your whole Swarup. You are giving up your individuality. So what can be more worse than this? Okay, fine. You have to give up. I mean, every jiva has to become Nitya Seva Brahmi, na? But still, some jiva go after Dhamma realization. Some are also on the Shiva Lokam. In the Bhimad Bhagavatam, you can study that. But then it goes to Sadha Shiva Lokam. So some people are studying, serving the Lord Shiva. After some mature and they go to Vaikuntha. So how do you see that? But that is there, These are specific statements. So if you are getting confused and find no problem, you read the relevant portions and you will understand. Okay. There are general statements, there are specific statements. There's a methodology of how to do something. So the Ashray is the Bhagavan Sri Krishna, for whom the all other 9 topics are talked about. And the 9 topics, they come down to the Ashray Tattva, which is there. and it is only to explain him out of this event. So that's why in the 10th canto, to explain about Sri Krishna's pastimes, first Sukadeva Goswami is, he's going through the 9 cantos. He's preparing, not Parikshit Maharaj, he's preparing us. Okay? Through via Parikshit Maharaj is preparing us. So is that question clear about the original Sarup and all of it? There is no contradiction. You have to do this. You're not doing. You're taking that thing. Okay, fine. Swatantra Artha is also there. No? There is also part of the Jiva. You can do anything which you want. No problem. You can be a Nitya Samsari also. You will stay in this world only. No one can hinder the independence alone. Jiva. Are you understanding? So with this, we are done with the Puranas. And yes, it is already 9 o'clock. In the Itihas, it is same as Purana, but they focus on one particular personality. Okay, and like in the Mahabharata, the focus is on Lord Shri Krishna, and in Ramayana, the focus is on Bhagavan Shri Ramachandra. And I was just asking Maharaj, Bhakti Sarpachara Maharaj, what to anything specific to be included. So he mentioned these 2 points. That one is the focus on only one topic, and second, the personality about whom they are describing, that personality should be living at that time. So when Ramayana was written, Lord Ramchandra was there, and when Mahabharata was written, you know, it was during the Mahabharata. So when Vyasa was writing, dictating it was during the Mahabharata. Okay, so we are not going into the content now. I have attached one image. You can study that. Where 18 parvas are there and there are 100 sub parvas are there. Okay, 2 sub parvas which are there in Harivamsh. Harivamsha Puran is an extension, is a confidential part of the Mahabharata. What was not there in Mahabharata is mentioned in the Harivamsha Puran. So some people say that it is a description of the dynasty of Lord Krishna. That is one explanation. But at the same time, it describes the confidential part of that. And also an extension. Around 10,000 verses are there in the Harivamsha Puran. With respect to Ramayana, also we know the story. So it was to be manifested. So Lord Valmiki was a chosen, and he gave the Ramayana in the 25th cycle of this Manvanta. We are into the 27th, 27th cycle. 27th cycle, I mean, can someone confirm? I'm forgetting, 27th or 28th? I think so it is in 27th cycle. The current cycle, is it 27th cycle or 28th cycle? Mostly it is the 27th cycle or 28th. And someone can just check it and mention. All of a sudden I forgot that. So in the 25th cycle, that was mentioned. And in the just checking that. 28th cycle. Okay. So the 28th cycle is there. So 28th cycle is going on, and the Ramayana was there in the 24th this hour cycle. And Krishna Sandarbha, something related to the cycles are going. When Parshuram came, I think so in the 18th, I mean, I don't want to speculate, but it is somewhere 16, 18, 19, 20, one of this cycle. Parshuram came and he was there till 24th cycle. So some details, some things are given in the Krishna Sangarbha. So one can check that out. And so that is there with respect to there in Ramayana, there is there. In Ramayana, now the translation is also there. Okay. And there are many controversial points, so-called controversial points, which are there. And that is the nature of this world. Right now, people criticize Lord Ramachandra. why he abandoned his wife and all in the modern in the in this modern society. 200 years back, Lord Krishna was criticized by Britishers. Lord Ramchandra was, he was held in high esteem because, perfect personality. But Lord Krishna, because Rasalina, all that, he was degraded. So that is the nature of this world. Sometimes something is there, sometimes something is there. There are many controversies with respect to Draupadi, Karna, Eklavya. There are serials on Karna. Okay, this, that, so many things are there. Many people try to attempt to reconcile it. Some people they do it in a very, very foolish way. There's a book by Shripad Navacharya, Shri Mahabharat Tatparya Nirnay. 32 chapters are there. First three chapters are on general thing is there. The creation and other philosophy is mentioned in that. And superiority of Hari is mentioned. From third chapter to 10th chapter, like exactly 9th chapter, Ramayana is given, Sankshipta Ramayana is given. And from 9th chapter, 10th chapter specifically to 32nd chapter, Mahabharata is given. So in 5,000 verses, he has given this. So you may ask that he has given the Mahabharata to understand Mahabharata. So why is he mentioning Ramayana? Because in the Ramayana itself, in the Mahabharata itself, Ramayana is spoken of. That's why Shripad Madhacharya is explaining the Ramayana. And also what he does is that sequentially goes, gradually goes in some shift form is explaining. And there is some point of some contradictory point he is giving his speaker. And interestingly, Acharya in his line, Shivaviraj Tirtha, Vyasa Tirtha, Jaya Tirtha, they have given their commentary on this. And they have given further clarification. So, for any conflict, any question which you have in your mind related to any episode of Mahabharata, nothing really. No days are reading this book, that book, all this, that is it. Simply go and read Mahabharata. Actually, there's a plan to have a series on Mahabharata. Krishna willing, at least in this year, will begin. But some people don't have translated. Madhya Tattva Samshodhanam, that publication is there, they are translated. Very, very beautiful translation. So the 4 volumes are there, and each volume have a different translator. Very beautiful, but the best translation Mahabharata. So one can go and read that. You have to do nothing. Because unfortunately, many people have tried to reconcile it, but their reconciliations are not up to the level. Devotees they go, they comment on Ramayana, they comment on Mahabharata. Okay, that's okay. I mean, some are wrong, some are not perfect, some are incomplete. Because we as Vaishnava, Gaudiya Vaishnava, we have a specific particular training which has to be done. To do anything, first we should read Srila Prabhupada books. First we should read Srila Prabhupada books, doesn't mean they are basic books. They are the torchlight, These are the base, we understand the movie, which we have to understand. Then the Gaudiya literature, then the Darshan Shastra, which is there. And then one actually go and read the Brahma Sutras, the Upanishads, Mahabharata, the Mahabharata and all that. Before Mahabharata, also, Mahabharata, Harivansha Puran, these things have to be read. And only then one should go and actually go and comment or speak something about Mahabharata. Otherwise, you will miss it. Okay? Yeah, I mean, you can defend it. There are many points, many things are there, but try to do anything, any speculation when Shripad Madhacharya is given everything. It's a very wonderful book. Mahabharata. It will expand one's mind and reads. It's very interesting, very, very exhaustive. Many points, critical points are mentioned by the commentators, by the translators themselves. So it's a very interesting book. But please don't just go and parallel go and begin writing. It requires training. Okay. There's a long way for the audience to go first read Prabhupada books. Many things, many preparations are there. You can just go and outrightly read it. Okay? Because some parts you will understand, some parts you will not understand. and you will not even understand what you have not understood. Okay, that is one major objective of this course. People, I mean, you all also must have heard, people say, hey, this person is a very scholarly person, or this person is very scholarly. So the objective of this course is actually, by chance, if someone of us thinks that we are a great pandit, then we should know how many branches are there, and we should know how much we need, and then we should think, or if, okay, that how much pandit we have. And even to judge, I mean, it is not that we go and become judging someone, but at times it becomes necessary to go and just to say, when someone say I'm a scholar, you should know uh, that who is a scholar. Okay, at least Nyaya. So you must have heard that many people know they write this. Vakya Pramani Paramita. Actually, in the Darshana Bhag, we will cover that. Okay. So someone can just write this. You can remind me in the Darshana class. So please, next time I have said this, I think so for something for today, if I have said it, you please mention me aware of that point will get missed. Pada Vakya Pramana Paramita. So you can just write this and you can remind me, we'll cover it then that. So can you please write through the path of the mind? And I'm myself I'm trying to find the guidance, but we'll see it at the end, On the last day you can ask. But basic is to have better books for the Western. Because that is how traditionally it is written. You should first know about your own Sampradaya. Even Buddha Sampradaya, Ramana Sampradaya, they study their own scriptures. And with respect to that, they try to understand. Okay, even in Nyaya, even Maya people, you should have good understanding of your own scripture. The problem is people don't read proper books, forget about the other Gaudiya Vaishnava. Or they read it selectively. Some people they say, I'll just go on through the translations. Or Puranas also to be read. And systematically, thoroughly, in an organized way, that is to be read. Only then go on coming. Otherwise, please don't go on coming. Srila Prabhupada has written in the first canto. Only when he is conversant with the sixth system of philosophy is actually eligible to sit on the Itihasas. Okay, so what happens is that in our movement, some prophets make many things. Some become prominent, some are not that prominent. But we should study all of that. Many times Prabhupada has said. In the first time itself only he has said that. For advanced readers, advanced students of Bhagavatam should go and study the Itihasas of Srila Jiva Swami, Vishwan Chakravarti Thakur, Ramaswamy Malacharya. So that is it. Of course, it is not for everyone. Not each and every teacher will go, but some people should go. Learning people should go. We should be very learning, because right now what is happening, I mean, we are, of course, we are only 50 years as an organization. We are over Sampradayas for 1,000 years, because that's how we are senior. We should actually go and learn from them. Though we have a superior philosophy, but we should go and learn from them. We are here for 1,000 years. We have a proper institute, Gurukul, and all of that. They are done with this. We should go and learn from them, not go and mock them. Okay? Not everyone, of course, not everyone, you should not go and just begin reading. Because you will not understand. It's a training is required. We are studying first standard mathematics. The problem sometimes questions that we ask is something from 10th grade or BSc mathematics. So how will you understand? You are in only first grade. You go complete the first grade, second grade, third grade, 10th standard, plus 2, undergraduate, postgraduate, and then you can go. So we often ask half-hazard questions, but the basics has to be understood. So it's a rigor, and yes, that's a rigor. But rigor has to be done. Nothing, there is no thing without hardship. A lot of hardship that's done. There are many questions to which you will get answers. And you think you know answer, but you will realize it, or you will get more answers after years or years of service. And by seva only you will get it. By seva that jnana converts into vijnana. You get the realization. You not just go and idealist. So Vasa Shiva Prabhupada said, we should throughout our life, we should go and strive it. Okay, as Maharaj was mentioning, in Chital Krishna Maharaj life, we can study this. As we saw that video, even in his sleeping, he was doing arti. Because he has attained that eternal, that is Nitya Swarupa. But in his normal life, he was into using temples, preaching, book distribution, and all those things, which are how is it related uh, to our Nitya Swarup and all of that, that Ekadasha Bhav and all of that is there. But by this only we understand that and we can truly it. So otherwise we will only become Sahaji. At the end of our life, we should focus internally, we should be into our own, meditation and all that. But throughout our life, we should strive for it. Gradually it will happen. We don't have to worry about it. But Seva only we understand the scriptures. So there are many things are there. Many. It's a difficult thing. So Prabhupada also writes in one of the purport. Studying scripture requires special intelligence. It is not everyone's cup of tea. And we should not mock people who don't know. Because at the end, our goal is to go to welcome to go look where everyone has such a body. So we all will be on the same page only. So we should not mock everyone. People have different propensities and like that is. Now our acharya is different people who different way to go, different instructions, different. We should not mock someone. All this preparation, Siddhant, where Siddhant ends, Rasa begins. Okay. So this is you can do Mahabharata chapter in there is nothing beyond me writing anything else. Everything gets clear. No, anywhere writing any other book and all that. Of course, someone can write book on Mahabharata chapter in a minute. That is okay. But not to go, speculate on your own, go read Mahabharata, understand and all of that. So those things are not needed. Just go straight away study the Mahabharata chapter in the everything Sri Madhacharya is. For those who are studying, or who teach that. Okay. So maybe in future there can be classes on Mahabharata chapter and then we are explaining that. Next we have is the Kavya. Kavya Shastras. There's a verse, in Sacha Sangita also this quoted. So Vedas they explain it in a form of an instructor, a spiritual master. Puranas in the form of a friend. And Kavya is in the form of a lover. So not Kavya in the sense it's a poetic. Okay. And so we can just quote this and then gradually we will understand. This is a Kavya Purisha. Sound and the meaning of the body of the poetry. Dream is its life. Rasa is its soul. Sweetness, harshness, so on is its quality. Cinema metaphors, ornaments are its ornaments. Style is its prose. And in this way, the Kavya Purusha is endowed with the good features. Alankar Vastu is a work written by Kavi Karnapura. The other books also. Sahitya Kaumud is a book written by Sri Bharadwaj Bhushan. Bhakti Samrit Shesha also is a one book written by one of the Rasamrit Shesha, that is the name, one of the disciples of our Jiva Goswami. So these three books are there, and Gaurapada Prabhu has very kindly translated all these words. So one can go and read that, not just instantly, Sanskrit has to be known. So Kavya means a poet's composition is a word of poetry. And Adivapti, Avyapti, and Asambhava, that thing also is mentioned in the Alankar Vastuda. Characteristics of a poet. So we from I know you won't understand, but just understand what is it. Not everyone can go and become a poet. So basically, Kavi Neha, Sa Sarvaguna, Sa Sarvagama Terida, Sa Rasa Pratibha Shari, Vadish Sal Uttamasal. So he has that thing, that innate thing that is from his past life. And he should be familiar with all the Shastra. Whereas Kadri, he can sometimes even imagine things. When he says that swan, he segregates water from milk. No way swan actually does that. It's actually Kavi Prorukti. Well, that is a type of dhani. There's a kalpana of a Kavi. So Kavi has his own freedom. He can do kalpana. And many times that analogy and things that is good. So Kavi it's a poetic way of presenting. It is a poetic way of presenting uh, the thing. So he has to have knowledge of all the things, If you read the poetry, you will understand. So back and forth they go, and to understand that we should understand it. Now there's some theory, then you will understand. The words are of three types. Mukhya, Lakshana, and Vyangya. Mukhya is a direct meaning. Okay, that is, for example, uh, that means parts, word, like that, different meanings. So that is a direct meaning which is mentioned. That is also, of course, of many types. Okay, yoga, ruda, yoga, because sometimes, like, whenever means that circle structure, but the actual, the derivation meaning of Manipur is not that. Okay, but that has become an etymological meaning. So that is a rude meaning. Okay, so that is a yoga meaning. So yoga rude meaning. Human meaning is also there, and yogic meaning is also there. Sometimes the meaning is completely different for the actual derivation meaning. Well, derivation meaning sense is, as you have studied in Sanskrit, we have a root word, and we have as the suffixes, and then we get the meaning. So they have a meaning. Sometimes they have a meaning, but they are using some other sense only. Like Pankaja. Pankaja means lotus, but Pankaja means that related to mother. So related to mother, there are so many things. But it refers to lotus. So that is yoga ruler. So there is some conventional meaning is also there, and some etymological meaning is also there. And this yogic meaning is completely just mandap. And ruda meaning is the conventional meaning, which is there. So Mukhya, basically what I understand is the direct meaning of the word. As soon as you hear the word, what it means. Lakshana is the indirect meaning of the word. Okay. That understanding which is another approach from the literal meaning. And the literal meaning doesn't make sense. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has said, how we should interpret the scriptures. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when he's defeating the Mayavadis, he's giving. When the literal meaning doesn't make sense, only then we should go to the Lakshana meaning. Why he says that is in see now. Saguna Brahma, the Mayavadis, it is not the message of scriptures. But to preach, to bring Mayavad, Srila Shankaracharya, and at all the instances, he is taking the Lakshana meaning. Because whenever the direct meaning is the Lord has body, the Lord has parts, he is doing the Lakshana. Chaitanya, that's why he criticized him. He said that only when it is required, only at places when, Ganga Yam Bhushan, but famously, the meaning is in Ganga there is a village. That doesn't make sense. Then we take the Lakshana meaning. That on the bank of the Ganges, there is there's a village. So when Mukhya or doesn't make sense, then there's Lakshana. And Vyanjana is what actually is the meaning in poetry. What we try to do is we try to communicate something indirectly. Okay. So suppose you have to tell someone to do his evening rituals, his evening duties. So you don't directly go and say, go and do your evening duties. You say that, oh, so now the sun is about to set. Oh, even in our normal conversation, we use it. So all of this is actually unique. It's an indirect way of communicating. In Alankar, so many examples are given in Bhagavatam that is mentioned. So it has a own rasa itself. It's a thing, it's a flavor of its own. You indirectly don't mention. Okay? Directly you don't say. Because directly you say that what is the meaning. In the Shinghar rasa, it is very much used. Even in the modern context also. If you have heard them, fine. Otherwise, there is no need of going and checking that. But in the modern, there are indirect conversations, how we talk to our friends, how a lover may talk to his beloved, and like that as well. So in Sanskrit also that is there. Or actually, that is the Panditya. How indirectly, how many ornaments and like how beautifully we can actually sing. So So that is the Vyanjana meaning, third meaning. The Dhvani are of 51 types. Okay, so we'll just go through the Alankar first, go through in the sense that to go through the uh, content of that, there are, I think so, there are 10 rays in the Alankar, 10 rays, 10 chapters of it. So the first chapter is the introduction, which we have already covered the meaning of Kavya Purusha, what is Kavya definition, all of that. And the poetry is also four forms. Excellent poetry. Super excellent. So, see, what happens is the poetry is normal. There is literal meaning. So that is a inferior poetry. Average poetry is when there is some meaning into it. Some indirect meaning is into it, but that is also a normal one. Excellent is when there is a good, when there's a good gender, when there's a good meaning into it. And super excellent is that, so you have a gender, and from that gender, there is a gender. So, there are two, three genders. So that is a super excellent. So you can, someone can go and dress up with the Alankar rest of them, even Bhagavatam, that is the examples of each of them that is mentioned. So that is the first chapter. The second chapter is the classification of the sound. The sound is of two types. Okay, I think so. It is the Varna and Dhani. So Varna is inarticulate sound. Just some random sound. Sa, re, I mean, they make no sense. Inarticulate sound. Okay, like for example, the sound of the animals. And Dhani is I mean, Dhani, not the proper Dhani. The Dhani is in usual different sense, is the articulate sound. This articulate sound is also of two types, sadhu and asadhu. Sadhu is those words which are formed according to the rules of grammar. Not only Sanskrit grammar, any grammar. Now, sadhu is, a word which is not formed according to grammar. And these words are of two types, three types, mukhya, lakshanika, and vyangya. The meaning which are there. And then there are further types of there. Mukhya is yoga, ruda, yogika. Lakshana is also rudi lakshana. So sometimes it is not the indirect word, but there is a attached meaning. Somewhere there is a pose of the lakshana. And then there are sarupa lakshana, sadhyavasana lakshana, and then shubha lakshana. And sarupa, sadhyavasana is also gauni shubha. And shubha, the third type is also upadana lakshana. So many more things are there. And another type is a Guna Lakshana, Gata Lakshana, Dakta Lakshana, and Vajjana is also there. Okay? So there are many nuances and so there, but it is basically you can understand the Mukhya, Lakshana, and Ganya. That is the main thing to be understood. Next, the Dhvani is also of 51 types. Because the Dhvani can arise from, so it can arise from part of words, which is of 4 types, from the words, which is of 18 types, from sentences, which is of 17 types, and from a group of sentences, that is a Pramamudha, that is of 12 types. Okay, so that, distribution is actually given in the concerned, in the this, you can go and read the Alankar course, therein that is given. Because Adhigamula, Lakshamuna, Alakshakrama, Lakshakrama, Anthartara, Sankrama, Atyantara Sankrama, then Shabda Shakti Bhu, Artha Shakti Bhu, Udaya Shakti Bhu. Then the inner meaning is arising by the users of the word, that is Artha Shakti Bhu. When it is by the meaning of the word. So when the word can be replaced by the meaning, that is the Artha Shakti, that is Shabda Shakti. And when it is because of both of them, that is Udaya Shakti. So like that, many details are given, okay, in Kavya Shastra. And then the talk is about the secondary poetry is the 4th chapter. The 5th chapter is about the rasa. So the components of rasa, bhava, vibhava, anubhava, vichari, bhav, and all of those things which are there, that is mentioned. Okay, so the bhava, which is there, and the vibhava is the participants, and the alambana, that is the vishaya and ashraya, the udipana, the students, which is there. So these are 2 components of that. And next we have is the anubhava. So when the rasa, the bhav is there, so what experience is there, that is anubhava. And then sattvika anubhava is the supplementary things which are there. 27 bhavas, 33 transitory bhavas which are there. So they are just transitory experiences which are there. So those things are mentioned, the subtypes and all of that is mentioned. There are gunas are there. So the poetry there are some certain number of gunas which are there, 10 gunas which are there. So that is mentioned. Okay, 10 and then there are other types are there. Then there are ornaments of the sound, ornaments of the word. So you can understand in this way as figure of speech, onomatopoeia, euphemism, so you will be familiar with all those things. So that is what is the, you can understand, ornaments of sound is the onomatopoeia, and that is related to the words, rhythm and all of that. Okay, so that is related to the alliteration, repetition, yamaka and all of that. And with respect to the meaning as the simile, metaphor, and doubt, and many things. There's upama, rasapama, and then many atishayokti, many different types are given. So that is given. And there are style, riti. Okay, 4 types, Vaidari style, Panchali style, Vaidhi style. So the poetry is written for many styles, so that riti is also mentioned. And the 10th ray is about the doshas which are there in the poetry. The faults which are there, they also deal with them. Okay, so there are 3 types of scriptures in Kavya. One is a Lakshana, they give the definitions and all that. So Lankar also the Lakshana, and the other type is the actual poetry. Okay, Kalidas, that Shakuntala, and that. So that is actual poetry. And all of the technical details on all of that. That is there. So that is with respect to the Kavya Shastra. I know it might be difficult to understand what Kavya Shastra there. So you can again read this recording. Ultimately, it is the poetry which is there, and then the analysis is there. So, any doubts on this Kavya Shastra? Anything related to this? Yes, no doubts. Okay, so now we are at the end of the class. So, is there any question related to like any topic? Anything? Then that question can be taken. No? So, no questions? I mean, any like Purana or Itihas or anything relevant to today's topic. So, when if there are no questions, then I mean, so everything is understood, or like people. I mean, I thought I was expecting actually many questions to be there, but there are no questions. So, I mean, question in the sense that related to the topic, proper to the topic, not your own questions, but like if I say something, then what is the meaning? I mean, like that. I mean, for example, for today's class, like so, what is the meaning of mukhya, exact meaning of lakshana? So, because I see that on every session there is no. So either everything is being understood very well, or nothing is being understood, and there is no intention to understood that, or maybe in the recording it will be understood. So, I mean, if any doubt is there, then you can cover, because at the end, on the last day also, there's a plan to have a proper question answer session. But I'm afraid then how much we will be able to cover. Okay. So, any question pertaining to the topic, they can be covered on that day only. So, no question on this Kavya Shastra. Everything is clear with the Kavya Shastra. Okay. Puranas is still okay. I think so. You must have heard. Itihasas is also that is there. But Kavya Shastra, I mean, I was thinking actually many things are there. So, if there are no questions, then we can end today's class. All the logical questions I have asked, rest of actually which I will revise things. So, okay, that's it. So, the logical questions. So, the questions which I asked, I mean, you can honestly answer. So, did you understand the answer, or I mean, did it make sense to you? The answers which are there. No, in the sense that for the questions which I've said that you go and refer to the relevant section, that is a different thing. But I mean, still that doubt is there, or the clarity is there. Okay, so that is it. Okay, so we will And today's class, Yam Brahma Varunendra Stunvanti Divyastara Vedo Isanga Pada Krama Upanishido Gayanti Yam Samana Jnana Tadgate Namanasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Navido Sura Suragan Devaya Tasmai Namaha Om Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.